Hi everybody. I just had some comments I wanted to make tonight. I'm gonna, of course. Well, first off, I want to say I'm gonna be shooting two videos. No, Richard, they're not both going on my main channel. This video, of course, is going on my main channel, but I'm gonna do another video that's going to go over on my movie reviewer channel because I've got some stuff to say in relation to something from a movie I did a review on that channel previously that's well related. Um, well, in this video, I know how they talk about people dying in threes. Well, we just had three die. There was a couple of guys that died from Welcome Back Kotter, I think. Kotter. I kind of vaguely remember them. But the third one that died was comedian Jay Medicine Hat. And I'm going to talk about Jay Medicine Hat just because, not too many people, knew him or, saw his shows. I want to tell you about what he was like. He does have a Facebook page if you want to, check him out. It's the letter J, and then medicine, like what you take when you're sick, and then hat, like what you put on your head. Extremely, extremely hilarious man. I mean, he was funny. It was weird, and I'm going to mention this. This has got a lot to do with my wedding. I told my matron of honor, who was my dad's sister. Well, she's still my dad's sister, but she was also my matron of honor. That if we did a bachelorette party, I would like Jay Medicine Hat to do the bachelorette party because this guy was a pervert, okay, but he was funny. It wasn't like like Eddie. You don't think like Eddie Murphy where he's like dropping the F-bomb every other word. Wasn't like that at all. Jay Medicine Hat was a hypnotist. Okay, so with that said, he would put people under and they would do all kinds of crazy things. Like, my personal favorite involves me, of course. Not too many people know that I had dislocated my shoulder. There's a story behind that, and it involves Tony, and I'm going to kind of tell the story here. I know Tony isn't real proud of this. Tony and I were horsing around, and he dislocated my shoulder. And for certain siblings of mine, don't go beat my husband up because he dislocated my shoulder. It was an accident, okay? We were playing around. Ask Mom and Dad. They were there. Tony accidentally yanked out my left shoulder. And it's been since put back into place. This happened right in October of 2004, right before we got married. It was an accident. You know how you're playing around and you hurt yourself. That's what happened. Well, I'd say maybe, between then and Thanksgiving, we went and seen Jay Medicine Hat. I was, high as a kite on pain medicine. And we went and seen Jay Medicine Hat. Well, I'm sitting there with my left arm in a sling because my shoulder had been dislocated. And I was a little bit on the high side. I wasn't so high I couldn't remember my name like I was, when I had the accident with my hand, 2 years ago. Or, it's more like 2.5 years ago now. It's back in January of 2010. And as an aside, if you want to know what happened, I have a playlist of medical videos, and it's in that, and it's like a series of videos. You best watch that, and that's another story altogether. But anyway, I was laughing so hard because what Jay Medicine Hat did, he got this plug ugly man under hypnosis. He was so ugly, it was just sickening. This guy was like gross ugly. He got this Medicine Hat got this guy under hypnosis to give me a lap dance. And I'm there with Tony, okay, and I am like choking. I am laughing so hard because, you've seen people with their arms in casts and stuff, or in slings. Well, I'm like literally gripping the front of my shirt, choking my own self because I am laughing so hard because of my shoulder and stuff. It was making me pull on my collarbone and it was choking me, literally. I was laughing. It made me feel better, though, because, I'd been in horrible, horrible pain up until then. And, I was still in a lot of pain at that point, but it made me feel better because it was like the first time I'd really laughed in 3 weeks. Because it was like right around, I'd say, Halloween, probably. Then we went and seen Hat, Tony and I. Well, we haven't seen him in a few years just because, well, he hasn't been up here to Newport on the Levee at the Funny Bone for us to see him. And when he was there, we couldn't get the time off to go, which stunk because we thought he was just incredibly nice. I mean, I'll tell you how nice this guy was. Like Tony and I got there early and we were at the front of the line and we said hi hat and he came up and he would actually talk to you. I mean, he wasn't stuck up or stuck on himself at all. He was just the nicest man. He would talk. He actually came and talked to us at our table once. He said, "How you guys doing?" Because he recognized us from our show, and we told him, he was our favorite comedian. And we could try to come every time we could. Well, when we were standing in the line the one time, I said, Hat, I wanted to thank you for something. And he said, what? And I said, and this was after, this was like I'd say 2-3 years later. And I said, Hat, look, I've been hoping to catch you to tell you thank you. And he said, for what? And I said, I wanted to thank you for making me feel better. In 2004, I said, we came to your show and I had my arm in a sling because I had a freak accident where I dislocated my shoulder. And I told him about the guy giving me the lap dance. I said, that was the first time I'd laughed in 3 weeks. I said, it made me feel better. And I said, you don't know how much I appreciate that. I said, and how much it made me feel better. And I said, I just wanted to thank you for that. Do you know he actually kissed me? Tony wanted to kill him. But I said, Tony, look, that was like a friendly kiss on the cheek. It wasn't like he kissed me on my, like, come here, baby, But he was a short little Indian, American, Native American. But yeah, he just was the nicest man. He was extremely friendly, and I hugged him and I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this for me and making me feel better. I said, you have no idea. I said, I just really, really appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, that show that night, and I remember this to this day, he just was that put him in a good mood. And the show just was that much better. And I mean, it was so funny. It was like he did like the drive-thru at McDonald's. And he had, he would play, and I remember this at the beginning. It was the same thing at the beginning of the show. Once he got everybody under, he'd play Who Let the Dogs Out? And it was so cracked out funny. I mean, and he would get so drunk, and it was so funny. I mean, the drunker he'd get, the funnier it would get. I mean, everybody's under hypnosis, and it was like, everything. At the end, like, he would make, like, suggestions for stuff like, to lose weight or quit smoking or something. He would actually do something to help people out. This guy, and I have to say, he is an example of somebody that had something bad happen in his life and turn it around and use it for good. And I always pointed him and say, I hope that, and he's like Dog the Bounty Hunter. He went to jail for doing something and then turned his life around and, did something good out of it. And I would love to point at him and say, here's an example of somebody who has made something good out of their lives that had a bad situation. J Medicine Hat is a half-blooded Indian. I'm not sure which tribe. I think it's either Cherokee or one of the other ones, like a Blackfoot or something. I'm not 100% sure. But he's an Indian. American Indian. Native American, whatever you would like to call this group of folks. And he was raised on the reservation out west somewhere in Dakota, I think. Might have been a Dakota Indian. I don't know. I mean, but bottom line is he was an American Indian, Native American. Well, when he was 14 or 15 years old, he went to federal prison for shooting at a federal agent or a marshal or something, I forget. And he talked about it during his shows. And he, it was in prison, he was sitting there, and he was thinking about, his life. And he's 14, 15 years old, and he was in jail for, like, this, length of time because he shot at, because there was an uprising on the reservation he grew up on. And he was upset about that. Well, after he was sitting in jail, and he decided, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in jail. So he took advantage of his time in prison, turned his life around, became a comedian and a hypnotist. And he was just a really, really good example of, like I said, somebody that turned their lives around and did something positive with it. And I mean, he was so nice and down to earth and everything. I mean, and he was funny. I mean, I really enjoyed his shows. I mean, because they were slightly on the perverted side, but I mean, it was like that was like it was like perverted like into windows. I mean, he wouldn't say like, like it wouldn't like bump and grind with somebody on the stage. I mean, but it was just, suggested, and like you could make your own conclusions. Yeah, I mean, he was always super friendly. He actually helped several people lose weight, quit smoking, and everything. I mean, and he actually, it helped a lot of people lose weight. And he actually said that one lady bought one of his CDs, and she actually lost like 100 and something pounds. Really, this is what he said. He said that she said. And I'm like thinking, that's wonderful. I mean, he's helped all these people out. I mean, he helped me out, and I just want to get on here and say, I hope that, he, people, would know about him because of what a great comedian he is. I wish we could find like videos of him and stuff because, I mean, he just, was an incredibly funny man. And, I really enjoyed his shows. At the end of one show, he, one of the women out in the audience got put under because she was staring at one of the candles on the table. I remember this. And they got her up on stage. And he would like give the suggestions at the end of the show, to lose weight, quit smoking, whatever. Do better, like, be more ambitious with school, things like that. Help with studying and everything. Well, at the end, he'd also have them say or do something really funny, kinky. This one girl, I don't know what he told her to do, to be like more productive or whatever. But then he also had her, like when she'd go sit in her boyfriend's lap, he went like this. The boyfriend went like this on her forehead. He told her to have the biggest orgasm and scream and yell and be really loud about it, like ever. That's exactly what happened. I mean, this is kind of things that he would do, and it was funny because it was at a table like to my left and like over, like like a couple of rows. I mean, it was pretty funny. She cut out the biggest wail you've ever heard in your entire life. It was funny. We're like, oh my god. Part of me to this day wonders what happened. Like if she really did that. But yeah, and it's just, I want to get on here and say, I hope he rests in peace because he deserves it. I mean, he had a rather interesting life, and he was not that old. I'd say he was maybe in his late 40s, early 50s. He was about he was older than Mad Bat Voodoo, but not by much. And he just, oh my gosh, he was such a funny individual. And I'm going to miss him because I was telling Tony about how much I would love to go see one of his shows if had ever came back to town. I mean, and we were hoping he would, and we could get the time off to, come see him. I mean, but, well, him passing away kind of puts that to bed, and kind of goes, well, I don't think so, Well, anyway, I want to pause here so I can, like I mentioned, at the beginning of this video, I'm going to shoot a video about a movie I reviewed, some commentary on that from my other channel. So, you might want to keep an eye out for that too. But I just wanted to get on here and talk about Hat passing because, I mean, it was a surprise for us. Tony actually found out from a friend who found out from a friend of his. And I looked it up on jmadisonhat.com and they confirmed it. I think he died at like 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. or 8:30 a.m. I don't know. It's 8 p.m. 8 something. It's not says a.m. or p.m. on there, but I mean, he was really, really, truly a funny man, a great hypnotist and comedian, and I'm sure that he's off at the great, whatever in the sky, because he was, like I said, truly, truly hilarious and just a really great, very down to earth, very friendly, very personable comedian. I mean, and I just wish the rest of the comedians could be as nice as him, as a person. Because, and funny. I mean, not doing hypnotism necessarily, but, he was, his comedy was, kind of like implied physical, But anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching, and I hope you have a good evening.